think this is part 2. Oh, whoops. Just going to fix that. Good old copy and paste, hey. I copied the title. And I was, doing 3 things at once. As always, are you surprised, Diana, that I was doing 3 things at once? Let's see. Right. I don't know if that's going to fix it on Facebook. I don't know if it's going to break it on Facebook. Oh no, it says part 2. That is a modern miracle. Hallelujah. I'm just doing the sharing thing, and then we'll get stuck into part 2. I didn't do the alert message tonight. Didn't quite get there. I've been doing battle with my recalcitrant set of color cuts that I've been working on for a while now. Let me just... Facebook says it's posting that. Let's go and check here on YouTube. Make sure the video is playing and it's clear. Things to do. Box card part 2. Oh, yep, we're all clear there on YouTube. Hello, Deborah. And Facebook seems to be working. Hello, Karen. Hello, Paula. Okay, so last night we did our box base and our lid. Awesome to see. I've only saw that Diana has a prototype made. Hello, Di. It's the base, lid, and this is the card front and the drawer. So we've already stuck a piece in here to strengthen this, but we're going to use chippy strips as part of our strengthening regime. I do have, oh dear, upside down my stone. I did, oh, there goes that canister again. I did make the fussy cuts we used last night, which the fussy cut sampler is live on the website. So this is live on the website. And then I thought I needed some more flowers. So I wanted to have some smaller ones. And then I thought, oh, what if you wanted bigger ones? And then I was on a roll and I started mucking around and I went, well, what if you want lilac ones? So lilac has to have green. And then what if you wanted apricot? So yeah, and then I went, oh, that's probably enough. Let's stop. If you're doing the Fantasyland retreat, there will be new chipboard going up tomorrow in the pre-order stuff. Remember, you've got to be logged into the website to see it. Yeah, we'll try and get it to you before retreat if we can. Hello, Angela. Hello, Louisa. So far with paper 6, it's in here upside down. All we've got is this little bit of color around here. So we're going to use it as our tiny bit of color. We also need to make our drawer. Obviously, this drawer here won't fit because it's from a different size. So we need to make a drawer to fit in here. And we don't want our drawer to sit out too far because we want to be able to support this here, this bit here. But what we're actually going to do is when we put our backstop on, we're actually going to use chippy strip. Now, I'll show you something. This is the interesting thing about foam tape. So on this one here, I've used foam tape, right? And I've got a bit there and a bit there and a bit there. I've got enough, it's the cut apart foam tape. I get enough foam tape on there to sink a battleship, right? There's a lot of foam tape under there. It's all the way under, right? Oh, 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 oh. Look, there we go. See? All the way under, right? But the problem with foam tape is foam tape only goes so far. Whereas if this had chippy strip under it, chippy strip's not quite as flexible, and a whole line of chippy strip would mean that it'd be less flexible and less likely to go bend. But that is years old. Okay, let's make our drawer. I have got my phone on charge. Amelia put it on charge for me, and she put the little charging point near the end of the phone. Unfortunately, Nia is not quite plugged in. So my phone is on charge, so hopefully it doesn't get too hot. So this is 5 3/4, right? This drawer base is based on 5 3/4. It's just slightly over, right? So we want to go just slightly under 5 3/4. Because by the time you score this at 5 3/4 and then the cardstock comes around, it gets a little wider. But remembering that inside, the inside measurement is what we want. So we want to be tight, but not so ridiculously tight that it doesn't fit. So we want it to be, yeah. And then inside, good thing about these is, go inside, it is just under 5 3/4 in here because we're inside the cardstock. Cardstock's only thin, but it makes a difference. So we don't want it to sit too far in, but we don't want to go in that far, do we? Then again, we might. Right. Okay. And we're going to make our drawer on the same principle. No wonder it takes me so long. I just want to make sure I get all the measurements right because, as we know, I'm not fabulous at the moment. So we're going to go our measurement plus, this was an inch. We're just going to be like, we just want to be a smidgen less than an inch. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be like a hair's breadth difference here. And then we're going to do the same. See, this one doesn't go in that way. It only goes in one way. And then we're going to do, oh no, it doesn't go in. It's the wrong drawer. Gee willikers. See, I told you I wasn't great. Okay, so we've got a hair's breadth less. and a hair's breadth less, and then we've got half. So let's get our trimmer. I'm going to try and explain this well enough that it's not going to be the crappiest measurement on the planet. I did see that. I was saying that. I did see you that's the same size to stick under. Instead of the foam tape for stability. You could use cardstock, but we want something with a little bit more oomph than cardstock, and we need it to be raised up. Yeah, not a 15th, 16th of an inch. I know, Diana. I'm trying to work out how not to do a 15th, 16th of an inch. I just don't want to do it. I'm getting a nervous twitch thinking about it. Yeah, we need it to be raised up so that we get a so that we have a good backstop, because we need it to be a backstop for the card, but we also need for this piece at the front, but we also need it to not flop. Okay. So we're going to cut a piece of cardstock, same as what we used for the breast, 8.5 by 8.5. Right. So we're going to work, we're not going to do side by side. We're going to do measurement by measurement and go the whole way around. Where do I leave my scoreboard? I've left it here. So we're going to cheat. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to do is 1/2 inch all the way around. So we're going to come in 1/2 inch all the way around. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do some cheating here. So then we're going to come in like halfway between, we're going to move it across halfway between the 0 and the first 1/8, right? So halfway between the 0 and the first 1/8, we're going to sit it, the edge, halfway between there. And we're going to score at halfway between, at the 1.5 inches. And we're going to do that the whole way around. So move it in so it's halfway between the 0 and the 1/8. And we're going to score at 1.5 inches. Okay. Then we're going to bring it and we're going to line it up with the 1/8 of an inch mark. And we're going to score at the 2.5 inch. So we're going to line it up with the 1/8 of an inch and we're going to score at 2.5. Now, oh, I think I might have made this too small. Oh, shoot me. Okay, it's not meant to be an 8.5 inch piece. It's meant to be a 10.5 inch piece. So this is a little bit small. I hope no one's done that. Go back. Rewind. Deary me. Okay. So now I have to put that in my stack. I'm going to put it in the box underneath. And that'll become a project of its own. Okay. I'm very sorry. I have made a mistake. I will admit I'm really tired. I don't want to go to work early tomorrow. Right. Let's do this and do both sides. I only did one side. Okay, new measurement. It's not 8.5 by 8.5. It's 10 3/8 by 10 3/8. So 10 3/8 is halfway between 10 1/4 and 10 1/2. So 10 3/8 by 10 3/8. Well, at least we're going to get practice at scoring. This is why sometimes you need to watch the video live and then come back and do it later. I don't often make mistakes, but I do make mistakes. So now we're going to do it again. We're going to score it 1/2 inch all the way around. Let's go back. Oh no, paper needs to be 10 3/8 by 10 3/8. Yes. Just watching. We'll make after. Hello Mary, how are you? It's all good. I haven't even sat in the craft room to do this project yet. There you go. Hello Cheryl. Yep, it's, you know, one of those things. I am human. Hello Helen. Just did mini calendar box with those measurements. There you go. Yeah. I did want to do a 15/16. There is 16ths in this. We are actually doing 16th measurements the easy way here. Okay, so we've done 1/2 inch the whole way round. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Now we're going to move our paper across. So the edge of the cardstock is halfway between the 0 and the 1/8 of an inch mark. So it's halfway between there. And then we're going to score at 1.5 inches. So we're moving it halfway between the 0 and 1/8 of an inch. Score at 1.5 inches. This is not an exact science because we're just eyeball lining up. 1.5 and have it halfway between 0 and 1/8. 1.5 inches. Now we're going to line it up with the 1/8 of an inch. And I line it up like in the middle of the groove. And we're going to score at 2.5. 1/8 of an inch mark. And 2.5. 1/8 of an inch mark. 2.5. 1/8 of an inch mark. And 2.5. And please tell me I have got this right. And our middle measurement should be 5 5/8. There we go. Holy dolly. I did get it right in the end. Rightio. Let's get our other scorer. Let's start, you know, with our folding it all in. today was day 4. Well, day 4 of this week of sending a big trolley of orders. Last week we did the same every day. So hopefully your post is more reliable than ours. We now know who it is that's not delivering our parcels. And they now know that if they don't deliver our parcels, that they don't have a job. Fortunately, 6 weeks is just too long to be just dumping it at the post office. Okay, let's see if I can get this right without doing the patching thing. Rightio. Oh, I can see better tonight. Okay, so we're on the right-hand side of the little mountainy groove thing. And then we're coming not the whole way in. On the right-hand side here. Oh, no, on the right-hand side. That was the left. Dear me. Not the whole way in on that one. And then we're on the left-hand side of here. Coming the whole way in. Snip that off there. And then we're just going to come in and cut the ridge off and just taper it. Okay, so this one we're on the left. So this is exactly the same as what we did last night. And then we're on the left, but we're not coming the whole way in with this one. This is the one where I made a mistake. And then we're on the right. Oh. No, we're on the right here. And then here we're just going to taper this in. Just cut the ridge off. Just taper it in. Okay. On the right of the ridge. Oh, it gets a bit hard to manage here. The right of the ridge, but not the whole way down. On the left of the ridge. Snip. Oh, I've got to snip that. And then we're just going to remove the ridgy bit there and taper it. Left, whole way in. Left, only part of the way in. Right, the whole way in. And then snip the ridge off and taper. There we go. So let's do a test. Should always do a test. Oh, actually, before we do that, these little guys all get flipped back. These little end 1/2 inch pieces. Remember, we flipped them all back. And by scoring them, they actually stick a whole lot better. Oh, I didn't snip that bit. There we go. It's sort of dripping down a bit, but I could make that a little bit shorter to fit in there. Oh no, there you go. It is short enough. There we go. Okay. The drawer fits. The drawer fits. So the only thing I've got to do is on these little 1/2-inch bits on the outside, we just need to angle them so they're not sort of bunching up. See, it's got a bit of bunchiness there. Bit of snip. Okay, let's add tape. So we need tape on these little pieces, these 1/2-inch pieces. So when I put it together, what I do is you'll see I put something on the drawer front, not on the sides and that, but I put something on the drawer front so that it sort of indicates that's the drawer front. And I choose the end that looks the nicest, in my personal opinion. I don't know why I'm doing this. Actually, the drawer's probably going to cop the most wear. So this is not a project that you decide at lunchtime on a Saturday that you're going to make for a 5 o'clock wedding. This is not a project you can finish making in the car on the way to the wedding. It's probably not even a project you can construct. Oh, you probably, oh, yeah, maybe not. You had the base done. You might be able to embellish it in the car on a long distance trip, but probably not. Just gonna say it's quite possibly make a plan, give yourself time, and do it that way. Probably not the project to do at the last minute. Would a brad fit on the front of the drawer for a drawer pull? Yes, a brad would be quite good. So I'm gonna see the ridgy bit when it goes on. It sort of rolls around nicely. It does make the edge look nice. It has less of an openness to it. Right. Okay. So we're going to take our bits of tape off on the inside here. Fold that in. Push that in there. Pull in tight. Push that in. Nearly there. Second last side. Okie dokie. So I think this end here. I'm just going to write softly front. Drawer. I don't know. Is it drawer or drawer? Depends on where you look. It's a bit of a contentious point. That's our front. There we go. Awesome. Okay, let's get to how we're going to decorate this thing. So, I missed things. I was thinking a little ribbon pull tab. Yes. Yep. I got a couple of things, couple of ideas. Would a 1-inch circle over the top and front center as a pull tab? Yeah, that could work. Tested it fits. Alternatively, for the front of the drawer, sometimes purchase a semicircle and punch a semicircle in the middle to create a small space. Yes, to pull out the drawer. I've done that before when I've done a single drawer. Quentin shared a video today of one of Naomi John's drawer cards, and it has a semicircle. It doesn't have the semicircle out, but it's a single layer cardstock. I find that I can't punch through, my punches won't punch through a double layer of this cardstock. That's the only issue, but yeah, but it's a good idea. That is making more sense now to leave the ridge when cutting after making 3 of these. Now to where to, yes. And I think repeating it so many times helps too. This sits in quite nicely a little bit, which is good, which is helpful. I like it when it sits in a bit. Okay, so the papers I've got, obviously number 6, because we've already used a bit of it there. And I really like the lace. And I really like the pale pink. And I really like the blue. You know. And it's a lot. I know. So I think 2 of the blue, 2 of the lace. And it's a lot of paper, but we've got a lot of surface. We've got a box, a drawer, and an easel card. 2 of that. And I think if we grab... You've got to have light and dark. So you want something as your contrast. On this other one, I actually used a glitter card in here, a little bit of gold glitter card, which you could do. And I've only used 2 patterns and the glitter card and white. I did use a bit more white, but you've got to think about it. What works for you? Okay, so we're definitely going to use this dark pink. I actually think what we'll do it would probably be really good to have a few of the bow, because I'm thinking we might do a bit of a 3D thing with the bow. We definitely need some leaves. And if we're going to put like, we're going to embellish like the top of the box, the top of the card, and the backstop, definitely need a few leaves. But I think if we do a bow, like we make the bow the feature and we cut the bow a couple of times and 3D the bow. Yep, let's do that. I've got a heap of flowers. It is a Shabango card, Shabango piece. So we probably need a bit of our dark colour on here. We'll need a piece on there and probably need a little bit in there. And then it's a good colour to put on the base because of the box, so that the box doesn't get, the box base doesn't get like a, it doesn't show if it gets dirty. Okay, let's do that. And I've got a pencil mark there. That's me. No, wrong eraser. It's not going to work. Let's get the good one. Just wait. I'm going to open the drawer further because I hid the eraser.
Oh, you hid the eraser.
Wouldn't you? We don't sell these. We can't get these cheap enough to sell them. They cost me more than Officeworks sells these for, but this is the best eraser. It honestly is. Okay. So on the base, we're going to put a piece of our piece of this, and we need it to be, so we're going to put a dark pink here, and it needs to be, I think this was 6, wasn't it? It needs to be like, let's do 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. So it's like a tiny border of pink there. And then on the front here, this is a 5 3/4. So let's do a, let's do a 5 5/8. And you know what? I'm going to say, when I do these sort of things, I end up with 8s. And we've already done 16ths, and you weren't subjected to your 16ths. And then the lid, on the lid, we want a piece. So this was 6 1/8. So let's do a 6 by 6 inch dark pink. Right. And by writing these on here, okay, so we're actually going to cut them, but we're actually not sticking them right. We'll stick the base of the box. We'll stick that one. But we're not sticking the other two because we're using them as part of building our creation, to say. Okay. So we've got this bit here. So we need a piece that is 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. First cab off the rank. So that's halfway between 5 3/4 and 6. Right. We're actually going to stick that one on. I'm going to leave the trimmer in place because it just brings it a bit closer to the screen for you. I've burnished it because it's not something I want to fall off. I've got a bit of a dodgy bit of tape there too. Okay. Okay, you're probably going to see my grey hair in this. So I'm actually holding it on my fingers, right? I've got it held, but I'm holding it taut, and my fingernail, the top of my finger is between the pattern paper and the box, and I'm holding it there until I get it that I like it. So I can move it around. Right, I like that. I think it's okay. I think it's close to... And then when I stick it down, I actually stick it down, so I stick it there, and then I can smooth it out everywhere. Okay, that's that bit done. Piece 2 is going to be... Oh, I just need to check something. I think... I don't think my file. I'm trying to save a file, a pesky file. So we need, our biggest piece here is going to be 6 by 6. So 6 by 6. That is for the top of our box. Now we're not going to stick that on because we need to cut the middle out of that. And then the other one is 5 and 5/8. So that's halfway between 5 1/2 and 5 3/4 by 5 and 5/8. Okay, so that's piece 2 for our fussy cutting, and if we don't need the third piece, we could make our thing without it. Okay, this is gonna get messy. I need more space. Right, I occupy a lot of space when I make one of these. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is look at how do we want to decorate this. I actually think the lace is going to look the nicest when we go to put like our bellies and things on top. Do you know what I mean? Like I think the lace, because it's nice and light, is going to be kind of our go-to, and our bow will show up nice on it as well. You know what I mean? So there we go. If we do that, I think the lace would be nice as the thing that we work the magic on. So what we'll do is we'll work backwards from what we want this to look like. So that's a bit, this is our card front. That's a bit boring. But is that too much contrast? Like, that's nice. Do we want a tiny bit of blue or just a tiny bit of pink and more blue? I think a tiny bit of pink and more blue. And then the lace. And then, we could actually use this pink to cut like some hearts or something. Or an oval. A nice oval would look nice. We haven't used our oval templates for a while. Okay. So this piece of dark pink was 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. I know that because I wrote it on here. So 5 5/8. Sorry, I keep saying 7. So it's 5 5/8 by 5 5/8 on the front of the card. Look, I'm gonna put it there so you can take a photo. Look at that, 5 5/8 by 5 5/8. I'm so sorry. I keep saying 7. I think. I don't know. It's a public holiday here on Monday, and I don't think I'm going to work. I don't think we're going to work, and we're actually going to sleep in. We are working on Sunday again. It will be our 3rd Sunday in a row that we've worked the whole day. Yep. So 5 5/8 by 5 5/8. So let's do the blue 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. I've got a piece of paper here. Let me grab it. So the blue, so we'll need from the blue a piece that's 5 1/2 by 5 1/2 for the card front. And then for the box lid, we'll need a piece that's, oh crap, that's a bum measurement, 5 7/8 by 5 7/8 for the box lid. So that's 2 pieces. Then what we could do, we'll get 4 decent pieces out of it. Let's line the inside of our base with blue. So our base is 5 3/4, isn't it? No, it's 6. So let's put a piece. Now, you really can't come in the 1/8 when you go on the inside. So this is a 6-inch piece. So if we came in and did a 5 7/8 by 5 7/8 like we did on the bottom, it would actually bunch up a little bit because we've got layer, layer, layer. Because we've got these 3 layers to make our sides and have nice, strong, stable sides, it means that you can't come in the 1/8. You really need to come in the 1/4 inch and make this inside bit here 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. Otherwise, it does get a bit of the bunchies and it doesn't look even. So the inside of the base, we'll need a 5 3/4 inch by 5 3/4 inch inside base. So I like to write down like what I'm going to use, where I'm going to use the pieces, just so I can make sure I'm making good use of a pattern paper. I don't want to use this blue for 3 bits and then leave a piece and then cut something else where I could use that, if that makes sense. I want to make sure that I make the best possible use of my paper. It uses a lot of cardstock. Like we've got 5 pieces of cardstock already. Just going to put, and we've got 2 pieces of paper 6 already. Like I need to, it's a lot. So you need to make sure you're going to make the best use. So we put blue inside there. I think it'll look really nice if we then put blue inside our drawer. So our drawer is, refreshing our memory, 5 5/8 by 5 5/8. So we have to come in the 1/4 because we're on the inside. You guys hate 8s. I know. We're not doing 16ths. This is actually a 16th. This high here. But we did that sneaky. So let's do a 5 3/8 by 5 3/8 for our inside our drawer. 3/8. I think that'll look nice because the inside of there and the inside of there will be blue. Inside drawer. DRAW is draw a picture, and DRAWER is draw as in a drawer, but it doesn't make sense, I'm going to say. And it's not every country that does that. Okay, so these two will get stuck straight away. These two inside layer ones, but these two are going to get put with there because this is our box lid. Let's put our box lid there. Now, sometimes what I do is inside the lid, I'll put a piece, and then what I'll do is I'll do like a little bit of a flat embelly with a little kind of journaling card or a little poem, and sometimes it's a poem about keepsakes. So if you give this, if this is a wedding card, the point of the box is for them to keep like a hanky or a garter or, you know, some little special tokens they collect on their wedding day. I have made these for for both the weddings of a friend of mine. Third child's not married yet. A friend of mine's children, and they get the box, and then that's what they keep their keepsakes from their grandmother that they get on their wedding day. So, okay, so now what we need to do is we need to cut. Oh dear, I'm so sorry, Diana. So now what we need to do is work out which one's our biggest, and we start from the biggest one and work down. So our biggest one's our box lid at 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. Then we go down to our inside the base at 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. So those two will come out of one. And then we've got the card front at 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. And then we've got the inside the drawer at 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. That's last. So we're going to start by cutting our biggest one. So it's 5 7/8. So that is halfway between 5 3/4 and 6. Now you guys were thinking we would get this finished tonight, weren't you? 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. Now that belongs with our box lid. So that's going to go over here. Let's do a test drive. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So that goes there, leaning on our box lid there. Then we have our next piece down, which is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And that is inside the base. So that's going to fit in there. And you can see, let me shut that. Yes, people. You can see we don't have a lot of leeway for that to have been much bigger than that, because we've got the up and the down and the across. So that one goes there. Then we've got our leftover bit, and we're going to do our next one down is 5 1/2 by 5 1/2, and that's our card one. My brain actually doesn't stop, and I think about the most economical way to cut. I always think about how am I going to get this cut the most economical possible way. I like that. Nice little border. So that's going to go on there. And then we've got our drawer. I'll sit that down here. And that's our last one. And that's 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. Now, we do know now why we don't make this card all the time. It is a lot. It's a lot of measurements. And we do have videos. We did have videos on this in the Creative Family group, but Facebook have deleted them all. So 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. And see, we didn't have a lot of leeway with that one either in here. It's not looking real. It's looking a bit tight. So this one's looking a little bit tight for me. Okay, so that's why we test drive. And I think, oh no, it's, let me just make sure I've cut it correctly. That's right. I'm actually going to shave just like 30-second off it. That's better. That sits a bit nicer. So see, by testing it, I could see that some quite good. And see, I've got it a little bit bunchy here. I didn't quite ease that quite enough there. I'm just gonna push that back into the corner. There we go. That's better. Without looking bad. That sits better now. So that's the inside the drawer. Okay, let's stick the two that need to be stuck. Okay, so I can't do my trick as well. I can only do it on the diagonal like that this time. But we do our best. And I'm going to burnish it again. If I can find my bone folder. So this is the inside of the base. So if you're wondering when, see, Fantasyland was meant to come out today. We're meant to have a virtual retreat this weekend, but it's next weekend. So Fantasyland now gets released next Thursday. This is not absolutely perfect. I find it really difficult to get it absolutely perfect, but it looks pretty good. I think it looks good. That's nice. Let's do this one. I will put some instructions in. What Jacqueline's been doing is, because she scribed for me for so long, she has actually, if you're in the Creative Hub, she has been putting in the comments on a lot of the videos, she has been putting her instructions. So her cutting instructions. So that's a bit awesome. Just a bit awesome. And I forgot to put the special up yesterday for October for our Creative Hub members. Every month, Creative Hub members get a 20% discount off something. And this month, they're getting 20% off medium size Pilot Pintor paint pens. Oh, I'm not quite right there. Oh dear, it's off to the side. Oh, it'll be right. It's just a little off to the side. There's nothing I can do about that now. That's a bit dodgy, Elisa. It'll be right. I'm going to just shove the drawer in and forget that it's like that. There we go. But yes, so I did put it up today. I forgot to put it up yesterday. I'm very sorry about that. But yeah, Creative Hub members get 20% off medium-sized Pilot Pintor markers this month. And I made sure ahead of time that I had plenty of stock of all the colours, even the neons. So that's the blue. And then we're going to put lace on here and lace on here. So on the card front, it's just going to be 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. And on the box lid, it's going to be 5 5/8 by 5 5/8 box lid. Remember, these two we stuck straight away. That's why they're asterisked. So there you go. So if you want to take a picture, oh my gosh, my laptop is thinking about something. This colour cut file. I know I said I was going to abandon it, but I just can't help myself. So we need to do the 5 5/8 one first. So 5 5/8. So it's halfway between 5 1/2 and 5 3/4. 5 5/8 by 5 5/8. And then we need 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. Now, if you were going to use ribbon or lace to go across or put a piece of pattern paper across, you would not stick these together until you knew what you were going to put across. And we might not actually stick them together, just in case I decided to do something. I won't be distressing because I've already stuck too many pieces to bother with distressing. What side is that tape? That tape, Paula, sorry I missed that. That tape is 24 mil. So this is 24 mil. This one, I like 24 mil. I really like 36, but 36 scares people. So I might not. I like that like that. No, 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 no. I like it like that, I think. So this is for our card front. And this is for our box lid. We'll sit it on our box base. So what we need to do is, for these, we need to cut the middle out of the blue and the dark pink, and the middle out of the blue and the dark pink. So we're going to do that now because they add to what we potentially can use for another purpose. So I'm coming in like a really good 1/2 inch. You could do this with a craft knife. You do actually need to do this. You have to alleviate the weight. You actually do need to make sure that it doesn't weigh so much that it collapses itself and self-implodes. I know I do this on my scrapbook pages, and it makes a huge difference to an album. The albums I have I put like 60, at least 60 scrapbook pages in my albums, and yeah, they're heavy enough as it is without me having excess paper unnecessarily. And same with cards. Cards actually stand better without the excess weight. And no one knows. They can't see it. Unless you tell them. Everyone knows that I cut the middle out of stuff. Okay, so they're ready for that. And then so I try to keep, then my centers, and then my corner pieces in case I need to build something up. I try to keep my bits and pieces in order. So these are my strips, and I can use those. I really don't know what my husband has just knocked over, but he has knocked something over. It's trying to be stealth. Quentin and stealth do not go in the same sentence, do they, people? Was it last night when I said I was going live and he immediately turned on a tap?
That was like 2 weeks ago.
No, it was last night, dude. Yeah. Oh, we'll keep that little strip. Okay. So let's add. So we've got a piece of paper 1. Paper 1, we've got 1 of, and paper 4, we've got 1 of so far. Okay, just had to do a little clean up so then we can work out where we're going to next. So we might work out what we're making our backstop out of. There. Okay, we have this piece of white that we had left over from last night. And do we want it to stand really? So we could have our piece that we stand it really high, or we can have it that it stands low. I think we go sort of in between. Something around there would be really nice. And that gives us a really big space to decorate and put something, because we could put something like a thankful heart on there. That would be nice. Blooming beautiful. So you could put like a nice big sentiment on there then. Not celebration dinner. Make a nice engagement card. We could put like a wish come true down here. Or maybe, yeah, maybe we could put a wish come true down here. And a ring. And then this is actually, this engagement ring was designed for an engagement card for a one of my card customers. So, and then some swirls. And then that there. And then a frame. Okay. Let's sit that one there. So if we stand that up like that, and then just got to be careful it doesn't flip back. Like it's got to have enough weight on it then to hold it down. Yeah. Let's do that. I've actually made a triple easel card that I then had to weight down with charms. I actually had to weight it down with charms on each layer so it didn't flip backwards because I had it standing too high. Maybe we'll go to there. Let's go to there. So let's do like, let's do say a 2.5. Let's do a 2.5 inch by 5 1/4 inch. 2.5 by 5 1/4 for our piece. So let's get another piece of this. Let's put a bit of dark purple, dark pink. Two and a half by 5 1/4 backstop. So let's cut across here. Just got a couple of those to cut. So we want a 2.5, and we're going to cut it this way. So we're going to put our paper landscape into our trimmer. 2.5 by 5 1/4. And while we're cutting that, let's just whoop, we're back just a midge, and let's cut a piece that is 5 5/8 by 5 5/8 for the base of here, base of our draw box card thing. Where'd you go? So 5 5/8 by 5 5/8 and draw base, draw thing base. So that's the draw thing base, right? So 5 5/8. So it's halfway between 5 1/2 and 5 3/4. So we cut this piece to 2.5 by 2 1/4, right? So let's cut a piece that is like 2 and off white. We've got this scrap of white. So we want a piece that's 5 1/8. So we're going to go 1/8 of an inch smaller, and we're going to stick it in behind, because remember, we're building up stability. So 5 1/8 by 2 3/8. So we're just going 1/8 of an inch smaller than what this was, but we still need our chippy strips. We're giving that a bit of stability. And then we're actually not going to cut the middle out of this pink piece. I know I just said that we need to cut the middle out of things, but we're not going to, because we're building stability. And then we will, what's the time? It's 8:15. Then we will, what are we going to put on that? This was 2.5 by 5 1/4. What scrappy pieces have we got left? Not many. Do we put this straight on here? You know what? I'm actually going to say, let's not put anything on that yet until we decide tomorrow night how we're going to embellish that. I think we need to know how we're going to embellish it before we do that. But what we're going to do is stick this base piece on the bottom of our card box drawer thing, and we're going to stick these two together. So you always put your tape on the smaller piece. So you always need to be putting your tape onto the smaller piece. Or, yeah, it needs to be on the smaller piece. so, because otherwise you can't tell where you're going to cover. And then let's give that a good, I know I didn't burnish beforehand, but let's give it a good go. So that's our backstop, and I'm going to write on the back of here, backstop. Let's put tape on the base of this. So what I do when I'm making one of these, if I've got to make it over, like if I've got to make it in sessions, like I just get, you know, Sunday afternoon, 3 weeks in a row, or, you know, a little bit each day after work, or a little bit each morning, if I get to do like half an hour in the morning. What I do is I keep it all together in like a one of the Decor 11-inch square pastry containers. They call them a pastry container. They're meant to take a sheet of puff pastry, or a paper taker, or keep it in a series of clip seal bags. So I'll have, you know, my lid and its bit in a clip seal bag. I'll have my box base in a clip seal bag. I'll have my easel part. I'll have my flowers I've fussy cut in another clip seal bag. I'll have my other embellishments in a clip seal bag. So I'll have a series of, you know, the kit bags we have. Or I'll do a container with a heap of little clip seal bags or something. But I do try and keep my fussy cut flowers separate. So I'm just sitting that there. I did the same thing again with my finger underneath and then push in. There we go. That's our bottom. Now, we have got a nice, decent sized piece. But what I want to do is, our backstop's going to go here. We need to, so with an easel card, the things that, the things where it can get tricky is here in the drawer, sitting that underneath. So our drawer, just above our drawer here, that can get tricky. And this piece just here. So see this bit here? This is the bit that's going to get the saggy baggies, and it's going to droop. So that's the bit that's going to actually droop down and trash your card when it sits long term. See this one? I've got a piece of pattern paper on here, and that helps to prevent the droopy droopies, for want of a better term. I know. So this can sag, so I always put something here, but up in here, this bit on this side is a really nice place to put like a sentiment or some writing, but we've only got strips, but we'll make that work. We'll make our, where we do our written message, we will build that ourselves from these. We've got these strips, so we're going to build those into the embellishments and make it make sense. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so now what I need to do, sort all my bits. So that's my lid and my box, and where's my backstop goes here, and my drawer goes all the way in. Push my drawer all the way in. Still got to put a strip on my drawer front, but I want to make sure that I like it, and I might stick some flowers on it. We might put a brad or some ribbon, or we might make a tab, and then we put that on there. Yeah, I like it. I'm just not sure that's the right way up. I think that's the right way up. Yeah, I know there's no right way with the lace, but you know me. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll put my embellies in the drawer and keep them in there. And we still got to cover the inside of the lid. And we'll probably do the sides of the lid. But we're at the hour and 20 minutes. So we took over an hour and a half, about an hour and 40 last night. So we're not gonna take too much longer. And I've just got to cut out my bows. We're going to do a 3D bow. I think we might cut these pink flowers and all these leaves. So there we go. So we will see you tomorrow night at 7. We may go into a 4th part on Saturday night. We'll see how we go. Not particularly sure when I'm going to get it all embellished tomorrow night because I want